In this world, guides don't fight. She does. Her spirit is a kraken, born for the deep, built for war. He's an S-class sentinel. His spirit is an orca. This is not Finding Nemo. Subscribe for daily updates. In the green fields below, the shadow of the airship slid past and vanished. A small squad of fully armed sentinels pushed through dense vegetation and climbed onto a rocky rise with a clear view of the sky. It's a newly formed contaminated zone, Caleb Cole said after studying the clouds for a moment. Very recent, still suspended in the air. Hard to detect. That airship flew straight into it. I heard it was carrying guides assigned to the border, one of the sentinels muttered, shaking his head. Poor souls. Hard to say if any of them will make it out alive. Edgar Finch stood aside, silent, weighing the situation. By protocol, as officers of the Security Bureau, they should have called for immediate rescue. He finally waved a hand. We move on. This isn't our concern. The director's task comes first. This operation was a private assignment from Director Caldwell, a mission that required leaving the capital with a hand-picked team. A disaster unfolding in front of them was inconvenient. Best ignored. Sir, shouldn't we notify rescue? One sentinel asked hesitantly. That's a whole ship of people. Edgar shot him a sharp look, irritation flashing across his face. If we delay and the director's mission goes wrong, he snapped. Are you taking responsibility? He was about to continue when Caleb suddenly stepped forward and leapt off the cliff. His lean figure dropped fast. Just before impact, he touched the rock wall with the tips of his boots, leading off the force, then launched forward in a series of rapid strides already, sprinting toward the direction where the airship had disappeared. He didn't say a word. Edgar's face flushed with anger. He was supposed to be the one in command. He had planned to establish authority on this mission. Caleb, quiet and unassuming most of the time, had never fought for position. But when it mattered, he didn't even bother to ask. Still arrogant. Still doing whatever he pleased. Inside the airship, Evan Shaw knelt in shock. A wide pool of blood spread slowly across the floor, creeping toward his boots. A body lay within it, one of his classmates. Her pristine white dress completely soaked in dark red. He hadn't even understood what had happened. The first window had shattered under rapid tapping. As people screamed and fell back, the long-haired creature smashed through the glass from behind. In a single motion, its needle-thin proboscis pierced straight through the girl's abdomen. Out of the corner of his eye, Evan saw the creature lift its head from the corpse. It had grown larger, its skin stretched tight, pale red veins bulging beneath. It giggled as it crawled toward him. Shu staggered to his feet. A small white chinchilla appeared in front of him, his spirit form. The tiny creature arched its back, fur standing on end, hissing in terror. It's useless, Evan thought in despair. What can a guide's power do in a moment like this? He retreated until his back hit the cold wall. There was nowhere left to go. A black combat boot dropped from above. With crushing force, it came down on the creature's head-splintering skull and hair alike. The rescuer was a female sentinel, her hair braided down her back, wearing the airship guard's uniform. She held a long, old-model rifle. Weapons hung from her belt and thighs. Fading spectral feathers like an eagle's wings dissolved behind her. Well, look at that, she said lightly, crouching to flick the chinchilla's chin. A rat guide. Without even turning her head, she fired a burst of shots. Outside the windows, the escort sentinels finally arrived. Some rode their spirit forms through the sky. Others, those with avian spirits, shifted partially, wings spreading from their backs as they flew. They collided with the floating head creatures midair. Drawn by fresh blood, many of the monsters peeled away from the windows, cackling and crying as they lunged toward the sentinels. Everyone move, The braided sentinel barked, standing her ground and firing. Close the blinds. Block the windows with tables. The sentinels will handle the outside. If they can't see inside, they'll lose interest. Among the chaos, Claire Arden was already moving. She stepped over blood and debris, pulling down one window shield after another along the cabin walls. She had been doing it from the start. No one had noticed in the panic. "You move," the sentinel snapped, kicking Evan lightly. "If you don't want to die, start helping." Evan forced himself forward, hauling a heavy overturned table to seal the shattered window. One by one, the windows closed. Unable to see their prey, the creatures outside finally dispersed, chasing the sentinels instead. Inside the cabin, the last remaining monster was crushed beneath the woman's boot. Gunfire faded. Screams died down. The cabin fell eerily quiet. Through narrow gaps in the shields, the battle outside still raged. The danger wasn't over. Evan collapsed to the floor, exhausted. The sentinel who had kicked him earlier reached out a hand. Evan opened his mouth to speak, and that was when it happened. Above them, in the unlit shadow of the ceiling, a hole had formed. Acidic liquid dripped from its edge's metal, eaten away by something corrosive. Beyond the hole, a massive bald human face slowly appeared. The enormous head had slipped unnoticed into the space between the gas cells and the cabin, hiding there, patiently dissolving its way through. It had waited. The moment the young sentinel smiled, its barbed proboscis shot through the opening, impaling her in a single strike, lifting her off the ground and dragging her screaming into the darkness above. The sentinel impaled by the barbed weapon went limp. Her head drooped, arms falling slack as her body was lifted higher along the long, jagged spike. Blood ran down her fingers and dripped onto Evan's face. Only moments ago, she had been the reason everyone here dared to hope. And now even a sentinel was falling. A hand suddenly reached into Evan's view and caught the bleeding sentinel's wrist. The arm was pale and slender, unmistakably that of a guide. A calm face, streaked with blood. Claire Arden. She locked her grip around the sentinel's wrist. In the chaos, before Evan could even get back on his feet, Claire bent down and picked up the fallen rifle. She wasn't used to its weight. Bracing the heavy weapon against her shoulder, she dropped to one knee, raised the barrel toward the hole in the ceiling. Bang! The shot missed. The creature recoiled. The recoil slammed her backward. Claire hit the floor hard, sucked in a breath, rubbed her shoulder once, and raised the rifle again. Bang! This time, the bullet struck the creature's face. Claire stayed kneeling, rifle steady, eyes never leaving the acid-dripping opening above. "Save her," she said calmly, without looking back. "She's still alive." The airship rocked violently. Outside, bodies, sentinels, and monsters alike collided against the hull. The young guides exchanged a look, then moved. Their hands were clumsy, their motions unpracticed, but they worked together to stabilize the dying sentinel. Somehow, fear loosened its grip. The cabin fell into a strange, focused quiet. Everyone moved without speaking. As a guide with heightened perception, Evan suddenly felt it. His eyes widened as he looked at Claire. She remained kneeling in the thin beam of light falling from the ceiling breach. Sweat sliding down her pale face, gaze locked upward. At her feet, where the light couldn't reach, something vast stirred. Invisible to most eyes, enormous tentacles rolled and spread, coiling through the shadows. She was doing it. She was using her mind to steady everyone's panic. She was interfering with the creature's movements, slowing it, dulling its reactions. That was why her untrained shots kept landing. The massive head creature was cunning. It stopped attacking outright. Instead, it coated every surface it touched with corrosive fluid, silently eating through the structure, opening a new path. More mutated creatures flooded in. Blood soaked the floor. Moans of classmates and soldiers filled the air. Claire's head throbbed, splitting pain blooming behind her eyes. For a moment, she was small again, standing alone inside a raging fire. Everyone is going to die, she thought. Just like before. Then, the sound of waves surged through her mind. Cold seawater washed over her strained thoughts, soothing, steady. Claire froze. She heard it. A whale's call. Clear and distant, coming from the evening sky. The cry echoed closer, growing louder, until everyone aboard heard it. From the far horizon, something vast moved through the clouds. Black back, tall dorsal fin. White markings, clean and unmistakable. Not a fish, a whale. A colossal orca tore through the dense swarm of mutants, its tail sweeping with devastating force, scattering the creatures clinging to the hull. It's a sentinel high tier. That size. What rank is he? Rescue has arrived. On the orca's jet black back stood a single figure. A soldier. One hand gripping a rifle, a blade at his waist. Boots planted firmly against the slick surface as the whale flew at full speed through the sky. Caleb Cole felt strangely irritated. He hadn't fully understood why he'd charged in. He had no right to be here. No time for this. And yet here he was, inside a newborn contaminated zone. Since he'd already entered, he might as well see it through. A whole airship of lives was worth more than his own ruined one. From the broken listing vessel, he suddenly saw her. The only one still standing amid the wreckage. Caleb's pupils contracted. Her? Why was that guide here? It was the first time he'd seen Claire Arden like this. Sweat and dust streaked her face. Her hair clung to her neck, clothes soaked and stained with blood. But her eyes, those eyes usually still as deep water, burned now through smoke and chaos. Anger, defiance, a refusal to yield. Good thing I came, he realized. He didn't notice the tension easing in his chest, or the way his cold expression softened when he saw her. Hey, are you rescue? A wounded sentinel shouted from the deck. How many of you are there? Caleb pointed at himself. One. Hope sank again. Caleb released something from his hand, a fist-sized sphere, letting it drop. This is the key, he said, pointing toward the distant sky. I've opened the gate. Far away, a door-shaped void was unfolding. There, the gate. It's open. We can get out. The battered sentinels clutched each other, cheering. Entering a contaminated zone was easy. Leaving it was not. The airship pushed its engines to the limit, dragging its shattered frame toward the gate. The severed head creatures Claire had restrained were flung aside by the orca's sweeping tail, scattered across the sky. They weren't dead. Already, they regrouped, coalescing into a dense black cloud. Caleb turned the orca around. He flew straight toward the pursuing mass. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a vial of inducer. For a moment, he almost laughed. He thought he'd never use this again. He flipped the cap open with one hand, and something cool and slick curled around his arm. A thin, icy presence slid over his wrist and settled gently against the back of his hand. A thought pressed against his skin. Drop it. The tentacle was displeased. Caleb Cole had never allowed interference on a battlefield. In moments like this, he was decisive to the point of madness. Exhausted and irritable, the small tentacle lifted itself and snapped sharply against the back of his hand. It didn't hurt. Guide's construct carried little physical force, but the hand that could steady heavy artillery without trembling faltered. Just enough. The vial slipped from his grip, mouth open, tumbling away into open air. Behind him, at the airship's damaged tail, Claire Arden had somehow found a ladder. She climbed through the broken opening, gasping as the wind tore at her. One hand clamped around a railing. She pulled herself high enough for her voice to carry. "Come back," she said. Several indistinct tentacles clung weakly to the orca's smooth tail, draped over it like exhausted limbs, drawing what little strength they could from a favorite familiar presence. Caleb drew the short blade at his waist. The edge slid across his palm in a fluid motion. Blood welled, streaking along the blade, scattering crimson into the wind. The dagger laughed. A thin, unnatural sound. The blood-soaked blade warped, stretched, and solidified into a long sword, glowing with an eerie red sheen. Caleb raised it and launched himself toward the mass of heads. As he leapt, a moon appeared in the sky, silver, distant, impossibly still. A mental domain. Someone had unfolded a vast mind over the battlefield. The enemy slowed. Caleb landed back on the orca's spine, blade held crosswise. Head shattered beneath his strikes, falling like rain. The tentacles withdrew from the shadows in a rustling wave, collapsing against the orca again, spent but satisfied. "Hurry it up, little fish. We're dying over here. I need a break. Move aside. Let me recharge." It felt like standing inside a domain meant for him. The wind above, the silent moon, the unseen tentacles coiling beneath the air, and behind him, a quiet, unwavering presence. He was alone. And yet, it felt like old times, like having comrades at his side, like someone watching his back. Caleb didn't need to turn to know she was there. Silent, steady, with him. Warmth stirred in a place long gone cold. Once they had been enemies in the depths of the mind. She, a relentless and terrifying opponent. You could have imagined that standing beside her like this would feel so right. He rose and charged again. Red arcs of blade-light crisscrossed the sky, weaving a net of slaughter. The massive orca surged alongside him, above and below. The black cloud broke apart, fragments raining down. They held the airship's tail. They held a ship full of lives, clinging to the rear hull. Claire watched the man and whale cutting through the swarm. Fighting alongside someone like this, her power could flow freely, without restraint. As if sensing her thought, the sentinel turned in midair. Claire raised her hand and gave a brief tactical signal, a downward point, a gesture she'd seen in Caleb's memories. Battle language. Caleb laughed aloud and leapt from the whale. The leader was below. She'd marked it. He fell, blade blazing red. The sword struck like a meteor, burying itself cleanly into the massive head. Caleb landed, twisted the blade, and tore the core apart. The creature disintegrated. Leader gone. The swarm broke, panic scattering them in all directions. The orca dove and caught him mid-fall. Near the gate, clouds drifted thick and low. The monsters had been driven off, only a few stragglers trailing behind. The orca circled overhead, its calls steady, reassuring. On the airship, survivors cried out, laughing, sobbing, clinging to one another. The rescue commander spoke quietly with the ship's captain. When the count was finished and it was clear that most of the dead were sentinels, not guides, relief spread quickly. Voices murmured reassurances. Bad luck. No one's fault. Praise was passed around, as though the bloodied bodies being loaded away were merely expendable items. Caleb watched from a distance. He'd seen this too many times. He scanned the crowd, looking for Claire. She stood beside a girl with wild, frizzy hair, who was crying quietly. Claire didn't move. Only a single tentacle slipped from the ground and gently patted the girl's shoulder. She's gentle, he thought. Caleb clenched his hand, then turned away. He didn't look back. He walked toward where Edgar Finch waited, into the stench and noise. He pushed that warmth down into the deepest part of the sea. and left it there.